Break on. This is Short Pants Free Radio. Gamers, get your ears on because we're blowing the speakers out.
Grimdark Live. It is time for Grimdark Live. This show is for the nerds, the outcasts, the weirdos.
And for short pants gamers?
No, not you.
Ah, crap.
Get ready, all you Grimdark goons, for dice, dragons, demons, and a dwarf. Only right here on Grimdark Live.
Let's get the effing show started.
Hey, welcome to Grimdark Live, your weekly webcast for all things dice, dragons, demons, and a dwarf. And you got me. We got Patrick here tonight. Well, folks, we're going to be taking the week off, but we got a great show for you tonight. We got a look back show for you this evening, and I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. This is one from a way back from yesteryear, and it's going to give us an opportunity to kind of relax and take this week off and kind of still entertain you guys all at the same time. So sit back and enjoy it. Now, grab some models and get ready to paint something, and we will see you back live next Thursday for sure here on Grimdark Live. So thanks for everything, and we will see you next week. Absolutely for sure. Bye. Well, we're not leaving. Get those models out. Don't leave. Just get those models out, paint them up, sit back, watch this go back show. You're going to like this, man. Like it a lot. All right. You guys ready? We're going to get this going here right now for you. So here it is, man. We're going to take you to a go back show. See you next week.
Wait a minute. There's something wrong here. What is happening?
Get ready, Grimdark goons, to time travel back in time to a Grimdark Live show segment from the past.
The past?
A segment from a show back in time. Get ready, Grimdark goons. Here we go.
Hey, welcome to Grimdark Live, your weekly webcast for all things Warhammer 40k and Age of Sigmar. I'm your host, Patrick, and as always, my co-host, Sean. What do you say this week, bud?
I got a little Archangels, and there's a few things we're going to cover tonight.
Yeah.
How about you, Pat?
Sorry about the late start. Sorry about the late start here, guys. It's one of those things that had some technical difficulties here with my furnace in the bunker here. It all burned up, and so I had to have that replaced, and that just that killed a lot of time. But we're going to be looking into the tournament season, and we're going to be looking into in either Age of Sigmar 40k, you know, what makes a winning list, and we're going to welcome back an old friend to the hobby of Age of Sigmar and the social contract of gaming. This continues along with the rumor engine and the question of the day. So this might be a little bit of a shotgun wedding type of show, but we're gonna get rolling, man. It must go on. So Sean, Warhammer, what do we got, man? Let's go.
Well, we got some Dark Angels. Their chapter tactic, or trait, if you will, is called Grim Resolve. You can reroll all hits of one.
Nice.
Whenever it shoots, including Overwatch, as long as it did not move in its prior movement phase. So looking at Devastators kind of thing.
I noticed that rule is a big crossover between 40k and Age of Sigmar. You know, if you don't move, your shooting can increase, or your rolls to hit can increase, and it's kind of an interesting thing that kind of rule is, you know, in both game sets. Right.
It just seems like it's there's a lot of things that they poured in between the two games.
Right.
And then basically it's like having a captain around automatically. So you don't have to worry about keeping a captain back by a bunch of Devastators. They basically get it without any, they basically get it for just being Dark Angels.
Got it.
And then weapons from the Dark Age. Use a stratagem before a Dark Angel unit from your army attacks in your shooting phase. Increase the damage characteristic of that unit's plasma weapons by 1 till the end of the phase. And then basically anything of plasma. So plasma pistol, plasma talon, plasma incinerator, etc. If it has plasma in it or counts as a plasma weapon, I'm sure it gets the +1 damage. you can basically use this to not overcharge, but still get 2 damage, or to get 3 damage when you overcharge. If you want to take out some characters or some big creatures, or you just want to put a lot of damage on a unit.
Got it.
Hunt the Fallen is another command point. Use the stratagem at the start of the battle. Select the infantry character in your opponent's army. That model is suspected to know the whereabouts of a Fallen, but it will not give us the secrets up easily. Increase the model's attacks by 1, but reroll all hit rolls for Dark Angel units that target it in the fight phase. In addition, reroll failed charge rolls for Deathwing and Ravenwing that declare a charge against that model. So it's really nice because you get to reroll hits, and you get to reroll charges for Deathwing and Ravenwing against that. So if it's like your enemy's Warlord, so it'll help you take him out faster, which would only make sense.
Right. Yeah, that's good. A little character hunting.
And also, it could be useful for if you use the weapons from the Dark Age. So you can reroll your hits, so you can do 3 damage.
The Dark Age. What is that?
That's the one where you get +1 to plasma damage.
Okay. All right.
So you play the Hunt for the Fallen at the start of the battle. Name their one character, drop in some plasma guns, and just shoot the hell out of it.
Got it.
You have Fortress of Shields. Basically, at the start of any fight phase, select a Deathwing unit, so basically Terminators. From your army that contains at least 3 models equipped with Storm Shields. Your opponent must subtract 1 from all wound rolls made against that unit until the end of the fight phase. So that's kind of nice. Basically, it makes them much more defensive. Even a -1 is pretty big, I think, in this edition. A -1 and +1 can change a whole lot of things.
Yeah.
Plus, in the olden days, they had like some role. I think it was called like Shield Wall for the Knights, or not the Knights, but the Elite Terminators. I forgot what they were called. They had like +1
before my time in 40K. So
yeah,
before my
it was
time.
+1 toughness if you were all base to base. Like basically, everybody was touching base to base, kind of.
Okay.
So not bad. And then you have Inner Circle. Use the stratagem for the battle. Select a Dark Angel Master, Dark Angel's Dreadnought, or Dark Angel's Land Raider from your army. That model gains the Deathwing keyword and the Inner Circle ability. I'm not sure what the Inner Circle ability does. I was trying to find out, see if it was in the index, but it was not in there.
Okay.
So that's something they'll probably cover in the Codex or in another leak. Or not leak, but preview, I should say. But there's a few other things out there. I just didn't want to go over them too much to try to spread them out, because I know Blood Angels are going to be dropping in 2 days.
Yeah, and Blood Angels are going to be a huge drop. I think they're gonna do a lot for the. I mean, when you look at the these Blood Angels are one of the 21st founding legions. I mean, they have a huge fan base as far as followers. So I think this is definitely going to be a big thing for the game for sure.
Yeah, Blood Angels are the 9th legion. Dark Angels are actually the 1st. They always say that they're the 1st, but
okay.
There's a few things out there. I just didn't want to go too much into it because the way the Dark Angels are, there's I'm not sure what some of their like Inner Circle is going to do, so I don't want to get too deep into that. But I think they're going to be fun. It looks like they're going to have a lot of things to play. I mean, I think the Blood Angel chapter tactic or trait, if you will, is much better than rerolling ones. And,
Okay.
in morale, you only lose 1. You can mitigate a lot of the morale checks with MSU, which Marines are much better at MSU than a lot of the other armies out there.
I've seen a lot of people play a lot of multiple small units with Marines for sure.
But that's just my opinion. I'll just have to see more as it comes out. I mean, they may be getting the Lion, see if that rumor is true, but Games Workshop, they have not posted anything about it yet. So maybe that'll come in a coming week or so. But the Dark Angels, they do actually go on pre-order this week, and they'll be out the week after. So that should be the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, Pat, what do you think about all the stuff we went over with the Dark Angels quickly?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I mean, the thing is, we're I think that's going to be a great drop. I mean, they're kind of a very, I find them interesting, but as far as the actual Astartes, for 40K, I've always kind of leaned more towards the Templars. Obviously, I'm a Knights and Admech player. That's really what I lean towards in 40K. But I do like the Black Templars. I think that they kind of fall into that. But I think this is going to be one of the bigger drops for sure for 40K. But you know what? We're going to have to see that in the upcoming tournament season. We are in the throngs of getting ready for what I like to call in this tabletop gaming the tournament season. If you think about it, in this there isn't an exact piece to this, but generally January through May is your big tournaments. And I know we're going to kind of skip ahead here a little bit in our conversation topics, but we're kicking it off just like always. January 6th, at Grognards in Addison, Illinois, they've got an AOS team tournament. It's kind of a primer for the fantasy AOS tournament that's going to be happening at Adepticon in March 22nd to the 26th, and then we've got.
You're sorry, but you're signed up for a Adepticon team with your son, right?
I am. Yeah, Evan and I are going to be playing team, and we're going to be playing the championship, and that's kind of open ended right now because if he can't get out of school, then I'm going to be looking for a partner. But well, I mean, he I think if he keeps his grades up and all that, we may let him play some hooky. So, but, yeah. So he's it's a good incentive for him to keep his grades up. But it's funny because when we get into the tournament season, and I've said this before and again, and really for me, the tournament season is really what brings gamers together. I mean, when you're running tournaments or events, as I've always said, it does a lot for your gaming scene as a whole. I mean, if you look at these, we talk about these tournaments every single week. We talk about everything from the local tournaments at stores like Grognards or Leisure Hobbies, or we talk about the startup tournaments like Brew City Brawl in Milwaukee that's going to be happening in April 28th. Or things like LodgeCon, which are kind of pick up restarts of older tournaments. Polar Vortex, this is a brand new tournament. This year, January 26th through the 28th, is going to be their very first ever Age of Sigmar tournament. They've been a big 40K and Malifaux tournament for a long time, and the guys at Dragstar Games in Batavia, they're kind of sponsoring this one, and then all the way up to the monster cons as Adepticon. So, but what always fascinates me about this is just what tournaments do. As I said, they kind of invigorate the entire gaming scene as a whole. It introduces new players to the game. It pushes people to paint their armies. It provides a gathering point for players in the area. It gives them, fun competition. And many players, sometimes myself included, don't have the time to commit to weekly leagues or regular plays. So this gives them a chance to get a lot of games in a relative short amount of time. If you go to a tournament, you're going to play 3, 5, maybe 8 games, depending on the tournament. What are your thoughts about tournaments and the tournament season? Because I think the sub part to this, and I can kind of see where we're going on, is I think the tournament culture has changed quite a bit. I think 40K has offered a different type of gaming system that has tempered a lot of things. And I know for sure, once fantasy got away from rank and flank, a lot of what I like to call the people that usually sat around in their base meeting called meatloaf, those people kind of went away. So what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, last year was my first year at the Adepticon Championships. I mean, I played team, and I've done the Friday Maelstrom before, but last year was my first ever, 40K championship. And I just threw something together. I did rather well. When you're in like the top 20, 25%, you did playing straight wolves. Not playing the douche canoe lists out there where you take Iron Hands and Dark Angels and
That phrase just busted me up with a douche canoe.
yeah. But I did okay. I had a game one. I had a rough match against Tao. I just held my. I was just rolling my 3+ like normal. So
Right.
I had that going for me.
It's funny because that's what I mean. For me, the tournament scene also does something a lot more. It forces me to get my army in line, painted up, based. It makes me plan a little bit more, and I think it makes me appreciate the casual games quite a bit. And I think that many times we take for granted those casual games, and I don't think you can really look at the validity of those kind of games versus a tournament game unless you are a tournament player. And for so long, I was afraid of the tournament scene. Not really afraid, but I didn't want to tolerate the tournament. I didn't want to get arrested. Let's put it that way, because damn it, I can only take one short pants. Have I ever told you that story about short pants, Sean? Have I ever told you that story?
Too many times. I was there, remember?
But I think happened with the kind of the revamp of 8th edition 40K, and I'm going to say the second and a half adoration of Age of Sigmar, because when Age of Sigmar first came out, if you remember right, it was you play whatever, I play whatever, and we just keep putting models on the table till somebody runs out. And like we've always said, that's a great way to find out if the guy across the table from you is an asshole. But I think when they changed and went to the General's Handbook 1, I think that offered up, you had points now, you had organized methodology of play, and then you had
some type of structure.
And then you had General's Handbook 17, which I think completely did so much more for the game. So I think what that did was a lot of the and I don't know if this is the right phrase anymore, but power gamer, and I'm doing the finger quotations right now, the power gamers. I think it did bring a lot of temperance to the gaming system, so that those power gamers, now you're always going to have that, and we're going to talk about this later on in the show, the cheesy type of list. You're always going to have those people, but I think for the most part, what I find so wonderful about the hobby and the game now is that it's back to being a game. It's made the best man win. It's the old analogy, are you going to be the general, or is it your army that's going to win the game? And I think before, for sure, with fantasy, with rank and flank fantasy, it was always the army. You get some power gamer together, and we're going to talk about that later on. But yeah, so that was kind of my 2 cents in a tin can. I'm looking ahead to the tournament season. I'm getting psyched. I'm getting ready for it. We got a lot of awesome tournaments coming up.
Adeptus Brew City, also in Madison, is on February 17th as a 40K tournament. It's kind of a cool idea what they have. They call it the good, the bad, and the ugly.
That's cool.
Good. All right, so there's three. The good, the bad, the ugly. The good is basically the Imperium. The bad is Chaos, Necrons, and Nids, and the ugly is Eldari, Orcs, and Tau. So whatever army you play, you're going to be put in the good, the bad, the ugly, and you cannot play your own. So like if I play Imperium, also known as the good, I will not play anybody else on that team, which is kind of nice.
That's kind of a really cool way to set that up. So give me the name of that tournament again. It's Adeptus what?
It's Adeptus Brew City. They call it the good, the bad, and the ugly. It's February 17th. $40 for the ticket, and it's in Berlin, Wisconsin. Wow,
that's pretty awesome. All right, very cool.
And I actually thought about going because I can actually make that one. So it's like
it's just a 1 day. It's just a 1 dayer, right?
Yeah. It's about a 2-hour drive for me, maybe a little bit more.
About the way you drive, you can probably do it in an hour and 15 minutes.
No, you got to drive through the city, and that's bad.
I got it right.
So, but a couple things that they have. It seems to be kind of more friendly than like a grand tournament, like say Adepticon or LVO, which is coming up around the corner too. There's a few of them out there that are coming around, but this is one of the more bigger, I would say, local Midwest tournaments out there.
I gotcha. Okay.
Basically, they have awards for the following titles: War Master, Best Overall; Field Marshal, Best Good Player; The Spoiler, Best Bad Player; and Truth Seeker, Best Ugly Player. Sportsman, we're not forgetting what the hobby is all about. Then they have Painting Champ for the Best Painted, and I'm Not Dead Yet for the player that never quit. So, not bad, not bad.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And basically, so it's still kind of like a team, but it's still individual. So the team that wins the event will walk away with the good, the bad, the ugly team winner plaque, showing their team spirit for the day. Every award, including the plaque, will come with a prize. So,
That's pretty cool. That sounds like an
prize
awesome
support will
tournament.
be covered by the Adeptus Per City Gaming Club of Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and will consist of Games Workshop swag.
Do we got a link or anything like that to those
Yeah.
club sites or anything like that?
I'm going to post it now. So I'm posting it now. But so what do you think makes a winning list, Pat?
Well, you know what's funny is I've gone through this quite a bit, and we kind of started off these little shows talking about what we just kind of mentioned is what makes an army a winning army? Is it the army or is it the general? And I think we kind of assessed that it's the general. I think when you and I talked about that, and we had Gary, we asked him the same question, and I think we asked just about a who's who of who's ever been on our show the same question. I think for the most part we came up with the general. But then again, how well can a general really do if they don't have a solid list? And so I started to think about it. What, and I want to hear from you and anybody else as far as, in either Age of Sigmar 40K, what makes a winning list? And I guess before I kind of yam around with what I think, what do you think? What is the one thing I think is for you, for whether it's 40K or Age of Sigmar, that's fundamentally, what do you look for? What's number one for is it defensive units? Is it punching power? Is it rend? Is it speed? Is it what's the one thing that you look for in a list with your army or your play style that you would say makes a winning list?
The ability to get objectives. Now, it's kind of more than just one. It's a speed, speed, killing ability. A lot of times you got to kill something off, and resilient. How much can they take before they die?
Yeah, I would say those are good ones. But what would you say is the most important? Like, what would you say is number one on that list?
Killing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, then the ability to do high damage output, high rend. I think for me,
not necessarily high rend, just high damage. Period.
Okay. It's funny because what I've learned is, the best way to fight a close combat fight is to walk over the dead body after you shot him. And back in past games with, rank and flank, I played a great Lothern Sea Guard army that just had a ton of shooting with repeater bolt throwers. But now that I kind of have evolved a little bit with this Age of Sigmar, speed. To me, it's the old analogy: speed kills. Because I play a Brayherd army, Beastmen, I guess traditionally known, and these guys are fast. Just to give you an example, they're I know that we said this once before when we had Brandon on the show, and I made the comment that I think Gore, pound for pound, not necessarily tit for tat, but pound for pound, are probably the best battle line unit they have because in the game. Because these guys, if they're within 6 inches of a Great Bray Shaman, they're already going to move 7 inches, but they get an additional 3 inches to their move before they run, and they can run and charge. And in addition to that, they get an additional 1 inch to their pile in. So they're getting a 4-inch pile in, and they're moving almost 10 inches before you even run. So, and is that fast? Yeah, that's going to get them there. Plus, now with the new Brayherd rules, they're ambushing in. They brought back all that old 7th and 8th edition stuff that you can utilize with this army. So they kind of offer in a way deep strike, I guess. And I think that is what makes Marines and Stormcast to kind of reference 40K, Marines and AOS Stormcast, so valuable. They can deep strike in, they can appear on the board, and they can disrupt your opponent. I think that's what speed does. I think speed, when you have that ability, it takes your opponent off his kilter. Now, of course, the mother of all speed is Slanesh. Though that army is breakneck fast in fantasy, and I know in 40K the rules are even better for Slanesh than they are in fantasy. But on average, you're getting 16 to 21 on Slanesh models. That's insane. So for me, I think what makes the number one thing that makes a winning list, and maybe that's the way I should have phrased the question, is speed. Speed kills, if you ask me, because that's that's my 2 cents in a tin can. So, but yeah, obviously, once you get there, you have to be able to do something to them. You can't be nobblers and get there and then not know what to do. So.
Oh yeah, no, I agree. Blood Angels are very, very good at that. They have a lot of abilities now that will make them get in your face much faster.
Right.
And if you somehow get tied up with a unit, although Death Company can probably kill almost anything out there, instead of wasting it, against a blob unit, you just go, I'm going to go over here, go 9 inches away, and I'm going to charge you with 3d6 next turn.
Yep.
Again. So, I mean, they can come on the board, destrike on the board, one area. You could have a unit that's already deployed, make them move 12, you can get a 12 to 18 inch pre-game move if you go first.
That's true.
With a unit of Death Company, and then you can move your 12 and then charge on that while you bring another unit in. I mean, there's a lot of things you can do with Death Company now.
You're right.
Blood Angels are...
That's a great point. That's an awesome point.
Another podcast, the Long War guys, they basically said Blood Angels are the alpha strike, but combat, not shooting. Which I agree with them on that.
Yeah, I do. I agree with that too. And we have a guest that just chimed in live, and he said that one of the things is that he agrees with the mobility part. But my next point to that, and my point is like for me, I used to think it was the killie. Give me something with high rend and a good amount of damage. And of course I played Minotaurs or now Warherd. And what I notice is with the right buffs, you can get these things 3x3s, 3x2s, and with a great weapon, my Minotaurs were doing, 2 attacks apiece. I had them either 3x3s or 3x2s, -2 damage 3, and they were just literally removing units from the table. But what I found was 2 things. They weren't as fast as I needed them to be, and the model count hurt me a little bit, especially in a game structure now with Age of Sigmar, and which has always been the case in 40K. And my limited knowledge of it is you play to the scenario. You play to the objectives, which, back in the olden days with rank and flank, you had scenarios, but my thing was take the field, that kind of a thing. We played straight up games. And what I like about Age of Sigmar and what I really like about 8th edition 40K is that you're playing scenarios, you're holding objectives, you're taking objectives, and speed can help you do that. But what I noticed was, even with my Minotaurs, last year at Adepticon, I went 1-4. Now, that record itself doesn't quite describe the absolute dismantling I did to my opponent's armies. I just destroyed them, but I lost on objectives, or I lost because of the clock. So I think for me, speed kills. I think you need to you need to disrupt your opponent. Speed does that, but when you get there, I think the second thing is you got to be able to do something once you get there. I think shooting is good, but I think, and we're going to talk a little bit about Sylvaneth army, because that's a good example, and we've got a listener tonight that's a Sylvaneth player, brand new, back in the hobby, and I think that's a great example of an army that can be very powerful in one aspect, but without but can it can, their weaknesses can creep up on you, I guess is the best way to put it. So yeah, that's kind of a just a kind of a high low of that topic. I was my thing, most important thing I believe is speed. And again, I go back to armies that are breakneck fast, like Slanesh, and even my Beastie Boys, my Brayherd. Their ability to pop up on the field and ambush, and then be able to get to those objectives or disrupt that other enemy unit is just absolutely invaluable. So yeah, that's my piece, man. You want to do a little rumor engine, man? You want to see what we got?
Sure.
We got probably one of the more well, not very eventful. It's a curtain. There you go.
It's new sheets.
Yeah, and right now I'm about 3 sheets to the wind. Yeah, that's what it is, man. It's a curtain. I can't, you can obviously tell by the picture up here. It's obviously fastened here and fastened here to something. It's draping down over something. I know
It's
that
more like a rope, probably, or a loincloth or something.
Yeah, it could be that. I mean, it could be maybe some kind of a drapery, like you've gotten like vampire counts, like it could be a corpse cart or something like that. It could be
another Trader Primarch coming out.
Could be another, could be something like that, or it could just be, it's a curtain. That's all I know it is. That's what it is.
Some accessory piece.
It could. Oh, now we're tabletop gaming interior decorators.
Well, more like a bits add-on for characters or whatever to make them more. I don't know.
What do you think, like a cape or something? I don't think it looks like a cape.
No,
Maybe.
like like how they would, like all the Space Marines wear. The cloth that comes down. Yeah. I don't know.
40K.
I don't know. I don't know. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm usually pretty intrigued with AOS's or not AOS, but GW's. I'm sorry, GW's rumor engines. They like last week and the week before they had some pretty cool stuff. But. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they kind of, in my opinion, they kind of fell short on this one. The tablecloth. Yeah. There it is. It's Sigmar's handkerchief. I have no idea. What that is.
I'm guessing it's like a cape.
It could be. I don't know. That's kind of looks a little broad. Like up here. Like this kind of looks a little wide, but it might be a cape. I don't. Maybe it's a shower curtain.
I think. It looks like it's rather large. It's rather large cape.
That's true.
So,
well, yeah. As we floundered through that question, what potentially that could be, but yeah. So that's that was the rumor engine. What else you got, man? Are you running dry?
We could do some list writing.
We could do that. So. Go ahead, man. What do you got? You got anything for that?
Like I said, we were talking about is how to hold an objective. You want to try to have a well-rounded force and want to be able to do something in each phase. Uh-huh. So, movement phase, assault phase, shooting phase, and even psychic phase. Even just 1 or 2 spells.
So like then for fantasy, it'd be your hero phase,
right?
It'd be your essentially your hero phase, your movement phase, shooting,
and then
any kind of close combat or charges in close combat, and then battle shock. So okay,
right. I've always seemed like in Age of Sigmar, battle shock was kind of, you can negate that a lot. With certain armies, especially Stormcast, they could eliminate that almost nearly completely. But
like what do you mean as far as because of their low model count and their high wounds or what?
I don't know, that banner guy that says up, they pass automatically, don't care.
Well, everyone's got that kind of a buff,
Well,
every army's got something that is.
That's an army wide. The generic order is.
Well, yeah, you're talking about that he can in the hero phase they can cast not Mystic Shield, but all of a sudden I'm drawing a blank now. They can they can prevent units within so many inches from
Yeah, but
taking battleship.
Stormcast can get a banner that says anybody within 24 inches or 12 inches or whatever automatically passes. Or did they take that out?
Yeah, I got to look at that. I'm not sure that's part of the dynamics of the game anymore, to be honest with you, because I do know that, you know, every army has got the ability to cast the inspiring presence. It's not really a cast. It's an automatic command ability that your general can take, you know, and you know, that basically is, you know, you can pick a unit from your army, and I think it's within 12 inches of your general, and that unit can you can pick. You don't have to take battle shock until your next hero phase. So,
right, but there's a banner that allows you to, or a guy ability that makes you automatically pass.
Yeah, the only thing that you have is that's the Lord Celestin on Dracoth. He has an actual command ability where, you know, he can make, you know, the units within 18 inches of him not have to take battle shock if he's So it's not really a banner. It's actually his.
I don't know anything else that has that kind of range. It's literally 36 inches. If you put them in the center, you got 18 here, 18 going right, 18 going left. I mean, he pretty much covers your entire, you know, basically half of the board.
I don't. Let me look at that real quick, because that's actually a good point of conversation. I don't think that it's. Here it is right here. It's a command ability. The Lord of the Host. The Lord Celestin can use this ability until your next hero phase. You don't have to take battle shock tests for this model or any friendly stormcasts that are within 24 inches of this model at the start of the battle shock. So yeah, it's a 24-inch bubble. So, so I mean, it's effective. You know, don't get me wrong. I mean, but like I said, you know, but on the transverse side and the tactical side, you know, if I'm playing against a stormcast army, guess who I'm targeting? You know, the Lord Celestin on Dracoth only has 7 wounds. So, you know, and that's the one thing that many people say is a drawback about Age of Sigmar, is that it's you know, it's very character heavy. Because what's that rule in 40K where you can hide your, if you have a unit in front of your character, you can't shoot at the character. How does that rule go? I'm foggy on that again.
If you're under 10 wounds and it's not the closest, you can't target it.
Yeah, well, that's not the case in Age of Sigmar. Basically, in Age of Sigmar is if you can see him, you can shoot him.
Yeah, which is something I wish they would have poured over to Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, actually, I've always said that. I think a lot of things could Age of Sigmar. I think transversely too. I think 40K could benefit from a lot of things that Age of Sigmar does. But yeah, I think that's definitely one of them. I think, you know, protecting the hero a little bit in Age of Sigmar would be a better way to go, because you do find that if you're not tactically smart with your hero, they get whacked off the board.
Yeah. But I think a good balanced list. You want to have some shooting. You want to have some things that can take on heavy elite units or monsters or tanks. But what do you think about question of the day or the social contract of gaming?
Well, I tell you what, you know, yeah, here's the thing. We've been talking about the social contract of gaming and how to conduct yourself as far as you know, yourself and your opponent. And you know, last week we talked about list writing, and you know, today we're going to kind of touch on some practical tips for the table. And you know, Sean, and here's the thing: you've been you know, a guy that's been playing this game for a lot longer than myself, in both fantasy and Age of Sigmar. But you know, that brings me to actually a topic I want to bump ahead of this one, if I can do that. I know a lot of people get into the hobby, and for whatever reason they leave and they come back, and maybe some people take long periods of time off. I mean, I was talking to a guy the other day who actually was away from the hobby for almost 15 years. And he came back to it, and he's playing both 40K and Age of Sigmar. And but I want to welcome back, and you know, you know him too, Sean. I want to welcome back an old friend to the hobby of Age of Sigmar. And you never know, maybe 40K. But that's a guy by the name of Steve Grant. I know that he's listening tonight. And you know, Sean, you've known Steve for a long time.
Yep.
How many years have you known him now?
Probably 14 plus.
Yeah. And you know, I got to say, this guy's a great ambassador for the game. I mean, I remember the first time I met him was at the small little gaming store, GW store, as a matter of fact, a tiny little thing at a mall. in just outside of Chicago in a place called Orland Park, Illinois, and the guy always has this ability to draw a crowd, and it's great to have people like that are infectious like that and bringing a positive nature back into the game. And I think that's kind of ties into, the social contract of gaming. People that recognize that this is a game, but also recognize that it's an ability to kind of meet new people and build those friendships. I mean, some of the greatest friends and people I've come across are through this hobby. So, and the prison work release program, which a lot of the people are involved in the hobby as well.
You were never in jail. Stop saying that.
It's a shtick, man. It's kind of funny.
Hey,
but
stop making me laugh. It's kind of hard to control the coughing when you're laughing. All right.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the other thing. But I know I never did time in any jail or anything like that. But going back to I forgot about this. Not yet. Yeah, the night's not over. The first time that I think you and I you actually introduced me to Steve Sean at the methadone clinic. He was there getting a treatment, and we were all there together, and that was actually how we. I'm kidding. All right, but no, it's great to have him back, and it's great to recognize that this hobby is such an alluring thing that people come back out of the shadows and start rolling some dice again. So we look forward to it. As a matter of fact, we got a game set up this Sunday. We're going to go roll some dice at a local GW store and get some games in. So Sean, if you can make it, man, get up there. All right.
Yeah, I'll just wear a mask so I don't infect everybody with the plague.
Matter of fact, you Nurgle bastard, stay where you're at.
No, I'll come. Trust me, I'll be there.
So let's get into that. I mean, practical tips for the table. I mean, so I guess this poses the question. What should you do at the event? Whether it's a local store event or now that we're in the tournament season, we're tying that in. I would say, let's start with the mannerisms and Sean, let me know what you think, man. Pregame, I would say, when moving your army and expanding your force, think about how you want to carry your army as you move from table to table. I see a lot of these people that, some of them just throw their stuff in a box and you're going to use an open top box lined with magnetic sheets. It can be fairly quicker and easier to move the models than a foam carrying case. But I think how you conduct yourself, and even something as small as that, how do you go from table to table? Like, do you have a cookie sheet or something like that? It kind of also shows that, that you have a certain consideration for the community as a whole. And I know that sounds minuscule, but I think that matters, right? I mean,
yeah.
I think it's all about the presentation, and definitely at the start of the game, introduce your army to your opponent and offer to explain anything that they may want to know. And that's kind of where I have to be careful, because I've been not accused, but I'm always worried about being the slow player. And I think a lot of that has to do where I'm just so happy to be gaming against, the guy, as I've always said, I'm happier than a dog with two dicks to be out there gaming. So when I'm across the table from that person, I'm explaining my whole army to him, and unconsciously I'm burning the clock off the wall. But those are some things I think you should do at the very beginning of an event, or the very beginning of the time you're going to game, to kind of show yourself, represent very well, I think is the best way to put it. And then of course, your deployment, try not to deploy your units from foam. And this is a personal thing with me. This is a personal thing, have your army presentable in one manner to be presented on the table. Don't go digging them out of the fucking foam case. Get the units out onto the side of the table or the middle of the game table before the game even starts. Kind of, again, that kind of flows a little bit more into the presentation.
Sorry to cut in. One thing that Gary Frank did when he was running some tournaments is they would take lunch trays that you can get at like GFS or any type of place where they have like lunch trays. Like if you have like a restaurant, you take the tray or whatever, and he just spray painted on it, and you could rent them out for a couple dollars, and just another way to return the cost. Like sometimes you'll have out of town people and they'll forget something, or just didn't want to put their display board in the car because they're driving far, or didn't want it to break because they're getting ready for a major tournament, but they want to test out their list, kind of thing. Yeah. It's not a bad thing, and they're maybe $5-10 maybe for a tray. I mean, you can fit a decent amount. Another thing you could do is just like you said, a cookie pan or baking pan.
Something. And here's the thing, Sean. You have an open challenge from Steve Grant. He says for you to bring back those dirty little bearded runts. He said he hates those grubby little buggers, and every time he sees a dwarf army fighting on the table, it reminds him of a riot at a daycare center.
Well, I don't have those anymore.
Oh man.
But there's always a possibility of me actually getting easy access to them. Just a matter of finding them in the mess of my buddy's stuff.
And you mean in Mount St. Randy's? The hold that's down there in Randy's house.
Yeah. No, literally, there's a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, and the thing is, I know that I'm going to pat myself on the back here again, but we're getting into horde armies, and we from a fantasy standpoint, we migrated away from movement trays, but I'm going to say it again and again and again. We're getting back into horde armies, massive amounts of troops. Consider using movement trays for your early turns, especially if you have a shit ton of models. Like if you're some asshole like me that plays a ton of nobblers, get a freaking movement tray. I mean, every jagoff with a 3D printer is printing these little 25 or 30, 32 millimeter, circles. Give the bum a few bucks and buy a few of these things so that you can actually move your table. These guys that show up with 40, 50, 60 models, and they got, 3 or 4 units of this crap, and they're moving them by like the 1s or the 2s. It really just makes me want to go like strangle small forest animals while they're doing this. But I use a movement tray for packing models in and out of my box, and when removing casualties during the game, it's easy for me to put them back onto the tray and into some type of a box. I guess always be prepared to, for your ingress and your egress to the games, right? Or am I being too big of a douche canoe, as you'd say?
No, I mean that's the whole thing. Is you don't want to take, like in Magic, if you play online. Each player has 25 minutes to get 3 matches in, or best out of 3 in. In 40K, I've seen a few people do it clocks. So if you run out of your time, you can't do anything. Not a bad way to go. It's just, it does help. There are a lot of slow players out there. I mean, 40K hasn't been out a year yet. All right. I'm not, the first year... there's a lot of stuff hitting everybody very, very fast right now. I mean, this is probably the fastest release we've ever seen out of 40K ever. And I mean, ever.
Oh, yeah.
10 codexes and a chapter approved in less than 6 months with a new edition that just came out.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, this stuff is hitting you harder than winter on welfare. It's coming out.
Stop. Remember cough?
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, and speaking of, you kind of remind me again of another topic that I forgot to bring up. But when you talked about slow play, that's something I'm very conscious of. Do things to kind of help the momentum of the game. Pre-measure a charge in the movement phase. Agree to the required amount in advance. Don't be one of these weenie roasters that rolls out the tape measure and whips it back before your other players can really see what the frick you just had on there. I mean. We're not girls. Don't promise us that you got 6 inches. All right, come on. I mean, there's no need to agonize over positioning when charging, for example. I mean, when you get to make a 3-inch pile-in during the combat phase, I mean, that's my point. Let's just make sure that you give your opponent enough time to see where you're going and pre-measure that kind of stuff. Also in relation to movement, and depending on your opponent's view, you may want to agree that you don't need to measure for every blathering model. Now, I know last show I referenced short pants and that moody little prick, and how the etiquette of moving your models and making sure that you don't have somebody, how to deal with someone that might be overextending their moves. Move one first and keep the rest in line, or like Gary said, place a dice and put all your after you measure and put all your models behind that dice. I mean, you also may want to combine, some type of, I don't know, phase-based moves and runs like destruction gets in one go for standard units. I'm just kind of going off the top of my head here, but what do you think before the Prozac wears off and I run too far down the rat hole?
No, I mean, there's a lot of great things. I mean, from what I've understand is always be upfront with your opponent. Keep stuff the same. Like, measure, if you measure always from the front, measure always from the front. You don't want to confuse anybody, even yourself.
That's true.
And like I used to always count down when I would take wounds, like how many they would have left. Now I just put how many they have on them, just because um, it's a different way.
Yeah. And that, that leads me into the dice etiquette. I mean, this is something that I remember one time, and I think you were there, Sean. We were at a game at Leisure Hobbies in Plainfield, Illinois. I think Sean was there. I think Steve was there, and we were gaming. And there was a guy, and I don't want to get into who it was, but he was this guy that really took dice etiquette and murdered it. He would roll his dice. Do you remember this guy? Maybe it was, I don't know who it was, but do you remember this guy? He would roll his dice one at a freaking time. He would have 10 dice in his hand, and he'd go plop, 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 and just I guess the short answer to this is avoid unnecessary disputes. Narrate your actions as you go on, so there's no confusion, and have your dice ready. That's another thing. I always have piles of 10 in different colors, so I can easily pick up how many I need. And especially as a Nobbler player, a guy that plays probably the largest Nobbler army, where I've had as many as 3 different coffee cans with 100 dice a piece in each one of them.
Well, there's an app for that now.
What's that?
There's an app for that now.
Well, see, I checked that app out, and I see what you're saying, but I don't know that a lot of tournament people would really be too hunky dory on that kind of an app. They may want the real thing.
Well,
and so
randomization is kind of hard to do on as a program. I know, I get it.
Yeah, and like I said, have your dice ready. Roll in a set spot or clear space, near the dice. Don't spend time hunting for dice. And get these people that like they try to be the Ricochet Randy, and they fling fucking dice all over the table. And I guess
that's because they have too much alcohol or too much coffee.
Well, that's true.
Chicky hands, yeah.
Right. And like I said,
one thing to fix that is get a dice roller.
Yeah, that's
the
true.
Octagon thing that I've been using. It also is
like one of those Yahtzee things.
I don't like those. The towers. I'm not a big fan of the towers.
Yeah,
but, like the Octagon things you roll into.
Right.
Just because one.
Oh, those things. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Gotcha.
Yeah, the one that I bring with me all the time.
About the cup.
Well, it's an Octagon wooden thing or whatever, but yeah. They could come in square boxes too, whatever, but they normally like some felt on it or whatever. But you can use those, and then dice don't really. You can still drop dice. Trust me, I still drop dice. But
yeah, hey, by the way, when we're done, make sure on the show notes you've got some people asking about it. Plop that dice rolling app down there, or I can, either one. But kind of moving on here with the social contract of gaming, we only got a couple more points to go, and then I think we've wrung the bar rag out enough on this one. But tokens and cheat sheets, and I know I am a big token nerd. Use markers and tokens, scenery dice, buff wounds, etc. I really can't stress enough how much you need tokens. And I don't care if you're playing Age of Sigmar or 40K, there's always going to be so many synergies, rules, abilities in play affecting different units at different times that you're going to want to keep track of them somehow. And I got to tell you, sometimes when you get in these large games, especially the way I've even seen 40K going, where most of your games turn out to be a rugby scrum in the middle of the frickin', table. It looks like you're trying to herd cats. You're going to need those tokens and save time. It does. It saves time looking up rules by having, say, and I'm going back to my cheat sheets here, by having a one pager that contains all your rules in one place, or some kind of a prompter to remind you that you need to do each phase. And I think your opponent appreciates that too. I actually had a guy to me, I was playing, at a tournament up at Dragonfall, or not Dragonfall, at Grognard's, and I had a guy say to me, "You know what? Those combat markers really help out." He goes, "Because I know that I've forgotten about some of my units that maybe I didn't get to activate, and I know I probably have too before I used them." But right, do you agree with that? I mean, tokens and cheat sheets. I mean, I know that. Yeah. I don't really. I mean, I've seen you use tokens, but I don't really. You've been playing long enough. You probably don't need cheat sheets. But I've had one too many knocks in the head. I need all the help I can get.
Well, for all the cheat sheets that I did, I never got around to it, but I guess I really won't need to anymore, though. I actually bought a bunch of tabs, because what I did was I took my index and I had them rebind it for me in the spiral bound. And I was going to tab a bunch of like little tabs I was gonna get around to and never got into doing that. But that's also another thing too.
Yeah. And then final points. I mean, think in their turns. I mean, this is tactics 101. I mean, after in any kind of warfare, tabletop or the real thing. I mean, you always want to observe the movements of your enemy. I mean, think about their turns. Are you going to counter them? In other words, to all you youngsters out there, put your phone down and prepare that you might win the roll off in advance. I mean, and the other thing, I guess, another thing that always gets under my skin, leave breaks for after the game or before. If you got to go take a dump or a squirt, you got to go hit the head or the bath. If you got to go to the bathroom, do it before or after the game, unless you really got a turtle biting cotton. If you really got a problem going on, rather than drop a stoolie in the hammock right there. I mean, but if it's not an emergency, get after it before or after the game. And if you want to go, have a couple of drinks, either bring the booze to the table or wait, or smoke, go do that outside or whatever, but do it after or before the game. It's always one of those things where a guy, in the middle of a game, one of your opponents has a question and then the other guy walks out the door and has a cigarette, and you're like, okay, I guess we're gonna hold the entire game up now. So
I mean, it's a little bit different in tournaments, because then you just call the judge over, like, he's been gone for a while.
Well, yeah. And I guess the last part is, as far as final point is, if you're running short on time, talk to your opponent, discuss it, even out of turns, or could extrapolate out, what your last turns might be. I mean, anything like that is, you can kind of work it out. So yeah, those are kind of my final points. We've had a lot of great discussion over the last few shows.
There's one more thing. Let's say there's 20 minutes left in a round, and let's say you guys been having a very good game, but you're only on like turn 3 or 4, like,
right.
Basically, you can kind of hammer out what's going to happen. Like, basically, these are, I'll pull my next objectives for this turn. Then you can kind of talk to your opponent. Hey, would these be, I think I can get these two. Explain, basically give them, hey, we got 20 minutes left. Let's see if we can both get another turn in. But just playing it out this way, because 20 minutes, you're not going to be able to get around it.
No, you're absolutely right about that. Yeah. And that's, and like I said, those are some points that I think, and for anyone listening, you can go back to our last, I think 3 or 4 shows, and you can kind of, look at our social contract of gaming. Because let's remember, man, the person across the table from you is either going to be someone you're going to chuck dice with once and that's it, or, you're going to have a long lasting friendship like I do with my co-host here, Sean, and our welcome back, Steve Grant. I mean, so, and the thing is that, like I said, this is a social contract. It's a great game. It's a great hobby. And just kind of remember some of those things that we've talked about. But you know what? We're kind of winding the show down here a little bit, man. So let's get at it, man. Question of the day. What do you think? You ready?
7. The Council of Trent.
That's right. Hey, are we going to go back to another history lesson? We can talk about this now. I've got all this wrapped up. You want to hear another one?
Do I? Go ahead.
What? So here's a question. What is a cheese list? I mean, here's the thing. I mean, we know when we see it, but what is the defining characteristic? I mean, in a game where one list builds and plays with the objective of beating one's opponent, where does the competitive become cheesy, or the new word, I guess, is beardy? What do you think, man? In your thought, what? And I'm not trying to be the crybaby over here, because a lot of people would say, well, people that call a list cheesy or beardy just are people that are unprepared, and that's not really the sentiment I think that gamers have. But you do have that small group that still has that beat stick type of a list. So what do you think, man? What's a cheesy list?
Well, I'm gonna go with last edition for 7th edition, where you could take
40K,
yes,
right?
40K,
Okay,
40K. You can take a chapter master on a bike, so he's toughness 5. Make him Iron Hand, so he gets like a 5-up feel. Was it a 5-up feel no pain? And then you could take the relic, which gives him a 3+ invulnerable save and like plus.
Right.
And basically, you would get like +1 or +2 to your feel no pain roll. So basically, you would put him in a command squad, which would be Dark Angel. So you get the stupid Jink like 2+ rerollable jink with the unit of Dark Angels.
Yep.
The entire unit has a 4+ invulnerable save due to a captain or whatever on a bike with another relic or warrior option, or as a special character. I can't remember all the details. And then you would take the Iron Hand captain or chapter master has a 5-up field no pain naturally. It goes to he also had a 2-up save and a 3+ invulnerable save. And he was you couldn't instant death him. So
Okay.
It would basically do he had a 2-up armor save, 3-up invulnerable save, and then he had a 5 because of the command squad, a 4 because he was an Iron Hand, and a 3-up feel no pain because he had the relic.
Okay.
Not to mention that he would heal a wound every turn, potentially. And then you also had some priest or whatever that they would, I think they would give bonuses to the feel no pain. I can't remember what exactly they did back in.
Yeah, they gave bonuses. They gave bonuses to that. I think it was a +1 or something like that. I mean, I wasn't in 40K at that time, but I remember just being around enough to hear it. So
yeah, and then you would just cast invisibility on the unit, and you just don't care. I mean, at that point, it's kind of a, we're talking. This is probably about 1,200 points, maybe 1,000 points worth of stuff. But this unit would beat the crap out of anything. Plus, you also had Space Wolf characters or on Thunderwolves on there. They would take Iron Priests and put them on Thunderwolves. So you would just destroy anything out there.
Yeah, and it's funny. That is, I guess that's definitely a cheesy list. I mean, my favorite Warhammer Fantasy units have always been the core, or now known as Battle Line choices, like say Spearmen or Halberdiers or Orc regiments or Goblin regiments, Snotlings, and especially my beloved Nobblers. Or I guess now they're known as Grots. I really like having a large unit of weaker troops. I would consider this cheesy. With the heroes, monsters, and war machines, and some extent cavalry being more of my, not normal or my rare type of choice, I guess the best way to put it. And it's funny because I loved playing my Nobbler list because it was just such a brutal thing. I've got and here's a typical list, and this is out of the GW or Games Works, the General's Handbook 17. This is a Allegiance Destruction. It's got 348 wounds. What I'm running here is I'm running a Moongrot Shaman, another Moongrot Shaman. My general's a Grot War Boss with 2 Mooncutters, taking the Battered Talisman, and my battle line, 3 units of 3 ogres, simply with just clubs and fists. And then, of course, you can't leave home without them. Maxed out units, 300 Nobblers, because that's just what you do if you're a Schmelvin like me. That's what you do. And this
You're
is
down 10 points. You could probably put another Grot or 5 in there, couldn't you?
Yeah, maybe.
Can I go above 60?
But you know what you do is if I stay below 2,000 and my opponent is at 2,000, I get to roll on the triumph list. So that even makes me even more of a cheese baller or like a beardy person. But that to me would be my idea of a, and that's not even my worst Nobbler army.
Is all this stuff painted?
Oh, well, here. Yes. Those are painted. All of these are painted. Out of my 2,100 Nobblers, I have 800 and some painted. And these are absolutely not painted. They're not even, no, they're not even close to being painted. But yeah. So that would be something, and this is, like I said before, this is definitely a cheesy list. You bring this list if you want, if you really know your opponent real well and you're friends with the person, or if you just want to see somebody absolutely shit sideways at this kind of a thing. But yeah, 348 wounds. So, I mean, bravery 4, so you're going to be losing a lot of them, but there really isn't enough that you can do, I think, to 300 Nobblers that is really going to, in the time of a game, especially because what these guys get is anything over 30 units, they get 3 attacks. Now that's also 3 of their melee and 3 of their missile shots. So they're throwing sharp stuff at you. Now, granted, the sharp stuff is, 5s by 6s, but 1 unit is going to be rolling 180 dice. Sharp stuff.
What?
Yeah.
What's the range on this?
6 inches. But you can shoot into combat.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and as one of our listeners just said, this would absolutely be a short pants meltdown. So,
no, he literally says, "How does that army win? So many knobs, so little ogres."
Yeah, well, okay. You know what we'll do? We will just simply take a moment here and pull over the madness wagon, and we will talk about nobblers here for a second. You know what it is? It's really
Hang
what it
on.
boils.
Let's let our listeners know they may want to go take a dump real quick. It might be a while.
It's absolutely. Here, let me pull up the war scroll here, because that might help us all recognize the beauty that is nobblers. So, but yeah, well, think about it. They have their.
Didn't someone ban you from buying nobblers for a while?
Yes, as a matter of fact, that is an absolute fact. There was a web store that that you could buy bits from. I won't say the name, but I actually got a letter from them telling me I was no longer allowed to buy nobblers because I had bought all their nobblers out, because I was in a race to have the largest nobbler army.
I'm pretty sure that's the race you can take your time with, because you're probably the only person out there. That's
not at the time.
Did you hit your head something prior? I mean,
not at the time. Not at the time. I was literally in a race. And I'd like to say right now that the grots, or the nobblers, that are currently on the GW website, currently out there, smart ass. What do you think about that? So,
sorry, it was kind of cutting out about that. I think internet's kind of messed up right now.
Here is okay. So here it is. Here's where right on the we're going to pull up the this war scroll here real quick.
See, they're even out of them.
They are out of them.
Did you?
And it wasn't me this time.
They probably said, "Well, let's not have that guy have any more, so let's just stop making them." Period.
Those evil bastards. Okay, here we go. So let's look at these grots, and this is another thing. Don't change the name of my nobblers to grots, you bastards. What is that all about? All right, so yeah, okay, they got a really lousy bravery, but let's go through this. Sharp stuff. 8 inches. So so not 6 inches, or 8 inches. 1 attack. 4s by 6s. No rend. Damage 1. Then they have a motley assortment of weapons. I just love this. I love picturing these guys like hitting you with everything from hammers to old socks to tampons. That is just a good time. They got a 1-inch range, 1 attack, 5s by 5s, no rend, damage 1. And if you were to look at this, here are their abilities. Screeching Horde. A grot makes 2 attacks rather than 1 if its unit has 20 or more models. It makes 3 attacks instead of its unit if it has 30 or more. So now, if I go back to my list here where I have 16 a unit, they're making 180 sharp stuff attacks, 4s by 6s. The law of averages are going to tell me.
I think that's just for melee.
Nope. It says right here. If you look right here, it says a grot makes 2 attacks rather than 1 if its unit has 20 or more models. It makes 3 attacks instead of its unit if it has 30 or more. Attacks and attacks.
I think it's just for melee.
No, sir. That is all attacks.
Did you get that question ruled by anybody at a tournament yet?
Well, not yet, but in all fairness, I actually have looked that up, and there's nothing FAQ'd on it at all. So, I mean, until GW makes a final hammer fall on this, to me, an attack is an attack is an attack.
Normally, they'll say like they can make an extra attack with their shooty weapon, or their missile weapon, if you will.
You're right. Yeah, and that might be the case, but I have not had that issue come up, because again, too, a lot of people aren't too threatened by 4s by 6s, but it's what it is. It's punches and bunches. It's just a lot of dice, and the law of averages are going to dictate you're going to do some kind of damage. So and then you got, of course, they've always had their little trappers rule. They specialize in fighting dirty, laying traps, Roll a dice each time an enemy model finishes a charge move within 3 inches of a unit of Grotz. On a 6, that unit immediately suffers D3 mortal wounds. So, yeah, there you have it. I mean, that's what they do. So I think I've never had any pushback by playing it that way, and there's nothing that has ever come up on it. But I can tell you right now, these little bastards have chewed through plenty of armies.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, so that's my 2 cents in a tin can on a beardy or a cheesy list right there.
You do realize that every time you post this, it makes us all, meaning you're going to have dementia later on.
Yeah. And it's well worth it. And we'll just,
I mean, who goes for Noblars? I want the most Noblars. I mean, I could see people like, I want the most Devastators. All right, cool. I want the most tanks. I want the most demons. I want the most, Forge World Knights.
Hey Sean, they're my Nobblers.
Right, because no one else can buy them because you bought them all. I don't know why anybody would want to buy them, but
one of these days I will field all 2100, and then I will take over the gaming world. When I become emperor, everyone's gonna have to change their first name to Noblar.
Wouldn't it be surname to Noblar?
Hey, you know what? You can call me sir. Actually, no, I work for a living. All right, man. So we're winding down the end of the show here, man. So
Jeez.
That's it. What about some final thoughts, man? Anything? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share?
Hopefully get some gaming this weekend.
Yep, I am with you on that one, my man. I'm going to be doing the same thing. I know that. Even though I'm not supposed to be gaming in December.
Yeah, I was tempted to go to a tournament. Like, yeah, Blade has just come out, and I'm feeling sick. I don't want to do a Sunday tournament.
My thing, real quick. I know it's kind of a sidebar, but let's remember what today is, man. December 7th is Pearl Harbor, and my dad was a World War II veteran. It means a lot to me. He was on the USS Talladega, and a little sidebar of that ship. He was a quad 40 gunner on that ship, but that was the APA 208 attack transport that landed the 3 famous Marines that raised the flag at Iwo Jima. So that's today, man. And let's just try to remember what a great country we live in, and it's because of little things like that through the bowels of history. But that's my point for today, man. I thought I would hijack the show a little bit and take a left turn at Albuquerque on that one.
Yeah, well, there goes my point of the day too. I was going to bring that up too. So,
but that's it. We got we talked about some of our tournaments. We got the closing thoughts out of the way. And what else, man? Before we go off into Dice Land, what do you think? Anything else?
I'm going to start putting up a GoFundMe to get Pat some help here, because obviously we can all tell that he needs some help.
I need help finding and storing more Nobblers.
No,
we need to.
Well, we can help you out with that. We just give them away.
We need to look at this as almost a UNICEF mission. There are so many poor little plastic Nobblers out there that need to be saved and rescued, that are sitting in boxes and basements of some overhydrated, cold meatloaf eating person. They need to be rescued. Will you please help us rescue these Nobblers and bring them to the bliss and wonderful basement that I'm in right now? See, isn't that better?
Well, you know what you could do? You could, if you didn't get your furnace fixed, you could use those Nobblers to start a fire and heat the house.
You bastard! All right. Well, another great show, even if we bum rushed it, man. So again, sorry for being late, but Sean and I would like to thank all of our listeners and for another great show, and we look forward to having you all back next time. We discuss all things related to Dice, Dragons, Demons, and Dwarves in the 40K and AOS world. So please don't forget to join us next Thursday at 7:30. And as always, please don't forget to give our channel a like or subscribe if you haven't already done so. So with that, may the dice gods bless you and your sweaty palms. Bye.
Night, guys.
Grimdark Live would like to thank you for slumming it through another show with us for all things dice, dragons, demons, and a dwarf in the Age of Sigmar worlds.
We'll be back live next Thursday, so until then, remember, roll them dice fun and fair, and don't be a frickin' short pants. And if you missed the live show, you can catch us again right here on the next Grimdark Live podcast. Never fear, gang. There'll be more great content from Grimdark Live throughout the week with Monster Mondays, Table War Tuesdays, Warhammer Wednesdays, Grimdark Grudge matches, and a ton more. So stay tuned and stay grim, all you dice chucking, glue sniffing gamer goons. You're all awesome.
Looks like I picked the wrong week to stop sniffing glue.
Remember, embrace the main message here from Grimdark Live, and that's a social contract we have between gamers and the commitment we have to each other and this community. We're only as good as our last game. Check us out at grimdarklive.com. Don't forget to give our channel a like or subscribe if you haven't already done so. So long, Grimdark Goons. Until next time, may the dice gods bless you and your sweaty palms. Bye.
Hey, who you calling a short pants?